Professional counseling is a special privilege. Counselors have the opportunity to walk alongside people in their most difficult moments and witness their courage and tenacity as they strive to live fully. When counselors enter into a therapeutic relationship, they are bringing their self in the room with them. In fact, it's been argued that the self of the therapist, or who the therapist is, with her or his experience, understanding of the world, perspective, and presence, that self can be the greatest tool of therapy. Of course, when we are not paying attention to how we are bringing ourselves into the room, or when our own wounding gets in the way of us being who we really are at our best, then we aren't really bringing our authentic self, and we can actually get in the way of good therapy. There are really two ideas I'd like to share with you in this presentation. First, you are enough. And second, you can be better. I think this is true no matter what you do with your life, personally or professionally, and I definitely think it's true if you ever decide to be a professional counselor. In professional counseling, one of the fundamental assumptions I make is that who you are and how you bring yourself into your work matters. And again, who you are is enough, and you can be better. Let's start with how you are enough. I once had a supervisor tell me, when you bring yourself into a therapy space, you are bringing everything you need with you. In outcome research on counseling, it's been found that about 30% of change is accounted for by the relationship between the counselor and client. This is a higher percentage than is attributed to either the theory or interventions used by the counselor. This means that it's really important in the therapy process that there is a genuine human connection between counselor and client. It matters when a counselor shows genuine interest, genuine care and empathy, and can bring her or himself to be fully present with the client. To be clear, this is not the same as oversharing, crossing boundaries, or having 50-50 reciprocity in the relationship. After all, it is a professional relationship with what we hope are fairly clear roles and expectations. But there is a way of being that is genuine, shows care and concern, and always keeps the client front and center. Not only is it important to be genuine, but it's also important to be your most resourced self. This means that you are doing things like getting good sleep, eating well, and working through your own problems, wounds, or insecurities with a therapist, pastor, or mentor. In this way, you can bring yourself into the therapy space in a clean way, aware of but unconstrained by your own vulnerabilities. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect and never make mistakes. In fact, the more internal resources you have, the easier it is to be imperfect without becoming overly insecure or self-conscious. This is important for your clients because if you spend the majority of your time with them trying to be perfect, you are only thinking of you. One of my favorite authors, Brennan Manning, once wrote a book chapter called Humble Confidence. I love the title of this chapter because you don't often hear those words used together. In the chapter, Manning writes about how confidence and humility are connected because humility simply means knowing our place in the world. It means knowing that I am small, vulnerable, and fallible, but also valuable beyond my own imagination. Humility means that I know there is nothing I can do to make myself more valuable because my value is inherent. Ironically, as we humbly accept our powerlessness to have any say in our own value, but also that our value is exceedingly high, we carry ourselves with greater confidence. You don't have to agree with my perspective here, but as a counselor, I believe it's important to find some way to ground myself in both humility and confidence so that I can be confident in who I am, while at the same time being aware of my mistakes and vulnerabilities. And I want to do all of that without centering myself in the therapy space. I want counseling to be about my clients, not me. Okay, so when it comes to counseling, bringing your whole self is enough. You are enough, and you can be better. There are 10 characteristics that master practitioners seem to agree are important and commonly exhibit. These are all things that we can work on and be better at without changing who we are in our core. So let's briefly go over these characteristics. First, curiosity. We want to be authentically curious with our clients by exploring their internal and external worlds with them in a non-judgmental way. Michael White, a narrative therapist, calls this the practice of elevating knowledge that a client knows, or as he called it, experience near knowledge, to the same level of knowledge we would get from reading a textbook. Second, master practitioners practice pattern recognition. They find the common threads both in each session and over many sessions with many people. Third, respect and collaboration. Experienced counselors are consistently able to establish a working alliance with their clients where their clients are actively engaged in the process. In this kind of relationship, clients feel a sense of agency or empowerment. Fourth, courage and the ability to self-soothe. Counselors grow by taking risks and putting themselves into situations that are uncomfortable. When I was a student, I asked one of my professors about what she would do in an uncomfortable therapeutic situation, and she said, "I would try to stay in the room and breathe." This is a mantra I often repeat to myself because not only is it important for me to have courage, but it's also important to be able to stay calm when things get tense. Fifth, self-pride. I guess this is just a fancy way of saying that it's good to be confident and proud of the person you are and the hard work you put in. Sometimes the thing a client needs most from her or his counselor is a sense that the counselor is confident and feels good about the work they are both doing. Sixth, master practitioners avoid perfectionism. Pursuing perfection makes therapy about the therapist. Pursuing excellence makes therapy about clients. Seventh, experienced counselors develop the capacity to maintain optimism and hope. It's important for clients that their counselor believes that things can be better, especially when it seems hopeless. Eighth, master practitioners have a strong sense of humor and welcome irony. One of the most experienced therapists I know, who I've had the pleasure of doing co-therapy with, has a way of unexpectedly making his clients laugh no matter how tense or serious the moment. Laughter is great medicine in therapy and reminds us of our shared humanity. It also helps remind us that we're in it together and reaffirms our goodwill toward one another. A ninth characteristic of master practitioners is the ability to make meaningful connections with clients. We can fine-tune our vagus nerve, which is a crucial part of our anatomy that runs from our brainstem down into our vital organs and then wanders back up into the muscles in our face. It literally means the wandering nerve, and some therapists call it the soul nerve. It helps us recognize and respond to danger, but also helps facilitate the process of social connection and helps us search for cues of safety. When two people interact, there can be a resonance in our vagus nerves, a sort of alignment when we feel connected and safe with one another. When a therapist knows how to self-soothe, as I mentioned earlier, clients are able to physically feel the calm in the room. In this way, a calm physical, mental, and emotional presence combined with genuine interest invites clients to connect in a profound way. The final characteristic of master practitioners is the ability to be separate or emotionally differentiated. A differentiated person has interdependent relationships, relationships that do not go to the extremes of overdependence or hyper-individualism. Having interdependent relationships means that we can connect with someone without being emotionally fused to that person. In other words, we can be separate selves in relation. We can have distinct emotional worlds and at the same time connect by describing, communicating, and tuning into those worlds with each other. If a therapist loses her or his sense of self and gets pulled too far into the emotional world of her or his clients, it is a sure path to fatigue and burnout. As a counseling professional, you are enough, and you can be better. What makes this possible is hard work, a growth mindset, and the ability to receive feedback without succumbing to shame. It also means being firmly grounded in what's true about you and not over-identifying with successes or failures in your therapy work. Finally, I strongly suggest you find avenues for facilitating your own personal growth and maturity. You need to boldly seek mentors, supervisors, or a therapist of your own to help you. For me, this has been one of the most rewarding parts of my experience as a counselor. With all this in mind, I invite you on this journey with me. I encourage you to see what is good and what is powerful about who and how you are, to keep working towards health and wholeness, and keep acquiring new skills. I hope you'll find the process as rewarding as I have.